Hello everyone, it's Miss Ann again. Let's go ahead and get started for this week's assignment. This week we're going to be working with shape and texture. So this week I'm going to go ahead and try and put this all into one video, and I'm going to be putting dividers in between each section of the assignment. So make sure you are turning in only each section as they're due, and we're going to go ahead and continue on from here. So this week we're covering shape and texture. For this first portion, you're going to be working with texture. Without further ado, let's get down to the table. Okay, welcome to the table. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and get started on the first step of this project. Now, in class, we already covered the geometric and organic shapes. Now, if we remember correctly, a geometric shape is a shape that is very definite and defined. Now, even though the edges are just a little bit lumpy on this, we all know that it is a geometric shape. This is, in fact, a circle. Now, when it comes to organic shapes, shapes are, in all forms, are made by taking a single line and making it connect to itself. An organic shape is a shape made that doesn't have any really defined edges, and it is adapted to fit your needs. Now, we covered some shapes that also count as geometric shapes, such as different types of stars, hearts, etc., depending on how they're drawn. So for this project, you're going to be using geometric and organic shapes. Now, the first step for this is going to be to input your shape. Now, for 6th grade, in this case, it's going to be covering this paper with geometric and organic shapes both. So what do I mean by geometric shapes and organic shapes? So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and draw the contours of an animal. And this is going to count as my organic shape. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, and notice that this time I am picking up my hand. The fact that I'm picking up my hand is fine. We're not using a continuous contour line unless we want to. So in this case, my little dinosaur here is considered an organic shape. It is a natural shape. So I'm going to go ahead and incorporate a number of geometric shapes now. Now, we've already covered that there are a lot of different types of geometric shapes: circles, squares, rectangles. And your work doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. So if you don't have to measure it, you can reuse shapes, as I'm doing here. And the point is for you to have your shapes overlap in your design. Make sure you're pressing down nice and hard with your pencil, because you're going to need to make sure that it's able to be read on the camera. So I'm going to go ahead and incorporate a couple other designs in my project, and then we're going to get started on the next step, because once we finish putting our shapes on here, we're going to go ahead and just turn this in. So once I'm done here, and I have filled the page as much as I can come up with, I'm just going to turn it in right here. Now comes the next step. So for the next step, you need to go around your house. So this is step 2. This is what needs to be turned in on Thursday. So you should already have this portion done and turned into me. So now let's get to the assignment that's due on Thursday. So at this point, I need you to go through your house and find a number of flat objects that have very distinctive textures. So as you can see, I've selected a net, this piece of this bamboo mat, and a piece of sandpaper. What you're going to do is you're going to place your paper underneath, and you're going to go look at each of these little sections, and you're going to press very lightly over the top to transfer the texture into each space. Now, if you only have pencil, you're going to want to press harder on some textures and softer on others, just to make sure that you can really see what texture is what. You're going to press very, very lightly, not super hard. And I'm going to do half of this in pencil, half of this in colored pencil, so you can see the different textures. And again, you're going to place your paper on top. You're going to move your paper and just fill in the spaces very gently. Okay, once you're happy with your assignment at this point, you're going to go ahead and turn it in for day 2. Okay, for day 3, that's Friday. So what we need to be doing to finish this off is you're going to be going over your lines to make them nice and thick and clean. Now, if you have a marker, you can trace over them with marker. If you have pencil, you want to go over those lines and make them nice and wide and clean up your lines a lot. You're going to make them nice and strong and thick. Now, one thing you can do, instead of doing all your lines very thick, you can just do the spaces that are outside of the shape to add some extra definition and clean up your line. So if it's not inside another shape, you can go ahead and trace that line and skip the rest of them. Now, if you have marker, you can go ahead and use marker, and you can use any color you'd like. I'm just going to go ahead and use pencil right now, just so you can see what it looks like when you just use pencil to do so. But you can use whatever colors or materials you have. So if you want to use pen, if you want to use marker, that's up to you. So at this point, just to finish it off, we're going to trace over the outside edges of your design, making them nice and thick. Now, I highly recommend using a regular pencil instead of a mechanical pencil to do this portion of the assignments. Alrighty, once you have completed this portion, make sure you turn your assignment in on Google Classroom by the end of the day. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.